Hello everyone, this is Mr. Bird. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited for this opportunity to work with your child for the next couple of months. Dr. Robinette reached out to me the other day and asked me if I would cover for Miss Adams up until Thanksgiving, and so I'm excited to be back in the classroom and for this opportunity to work with your student. A little bit about myself. I do have 18 years of teaching experience. I have a master's in EDS in administration and supervision. I taught my very first year at Von Orr Elementary School, where I taught 7th and 8th grade language arts and coached girls basketball. After that, I moved to Greenback, where I taught a majority of the time, about 16 years, where I taught 5th grade language arts and social studies. So, of course, I've got a lot of experience in this area. My last year was at Montgomery Ridge Intermediate School in Maryville City, where I was in charge of the Reading RTI program. The last couple of years, I've been in the health insurance industry, and as you can imagine, that's a pretty good industry if you're a salesperson, but I'm a teacher, and so I felt the calling to come back to the classroom if possible, and so I've worked as a sub lately last year and this year. So I'm excited for this opportunity to be working with students again. A little bit about my family. I want to share with you. You can see here on the slide. Let me move this, make an adjustment here. And you can see, I'll move up here. I'll get it. Okay. So, my wife is Christy Bird. She's a preschool teacher at Stepping Stones Preschool. We have two sons. Brooks is our oldest. He is 14 and is a freshman at the 9th grade academy. And my youngest is also a 5th grader. He's at Carpenter's Elementary. Now, Brooks loves baseball and basketball, and Braden is a huge basketball fan. And there in the middle of our screen, you see a picture of our dog, Georgia. Now, we've had her for about a year now, and kind of an interesting story how we got her and her name. I may share that with your students so they can tell you more about that at some point. All right, so a couple of fun facts about myself. Like I said, I taught at the following schools: Von Orr, Greenback, and Montgomery Ridge. I've met a lot of famous people over the years. A couple of buddies of mine and we work security for concerts and things like that. So I've met some singers and pro athletes and just all around famous people. They're just like us, average people when you get to know them. Growing up, I was a huge fan of Larry Bird, obviously with the same last name. I couldn't help but think that I was related to him and that someday I would have played basketball with him. For the Boston Celtics. Now, students, if you don't know who that is, maybe your parents can help you research who Larry Bird is and figure out who my hero was. Okay. A couple more fun facts. I'm a huge Atlanta Braves fan. I have been since the 1980s. That was, for you students that don't know, the 1980s Atlanta Braves were probably some of the worst baseball teams the Atlanta Braves have ever had were in the 80s, but I was still a huge fan. My birthday is in September 7th. We won't talk about how old I am, but if you want to bring in gifts, that's perfectly fine. Don't do it. I'm just joking. I have one sister. She is married and has two boys. They live in Michigan. And this summer, what have we done? Well, my family and I, we've spent a lot of time out in the mountains. Just learning to kayak and spend time together as a family. We've been to a lot of Brooks's baseball games. He does play travel baseball. So we've been to South Carolina and Chattanooga and a bunch of different places for tournaments just about each week, it seems like. And we have also spent a lot of time at home. Now, I don't know if you can tell or not down in the bottom right picture. That's a picture of Brooks and Braden dressed out in camouflage holding guns. Now, for some reason this year, they decided that they wanted to be turkey hunters. And so my uncle owns a big property, and so he invited us up to go out and turkey hunt. And basically that was just a couple of hours of just sitting out in the woods on the ground. We didn't see or hear anything, but to them that was a big adventure. Now, I want to go over a couple of expectations with you to kind of explain to you what I want these next few months to look like from my side, okay? First of all, we've got to practice something that not many people do that much anymore. I hate to say that, but I want us to practice being nice to each other. And students, what I mean by that is treat each other the way you want to be treated. I don't like put downs. I don't like insults or anything like that. We can joke around and have fun, but we're not going to do that at someone else's expense and hurt their feelings. So we're going to be nice with each other. Number two, raise your hand. Okay? Now, why do we do that? So I've been in the classroom for 18 years, and I've been in situations where I've got very talkative students that while I'm trying to teach, they're talking and having conversations, and that can be quite distracting to everyone around. So what I like for students to do is simply raise your hand and wait on me to call on you. Now, when I see you raise your hand, I'll give you a thumbs up or point at you and give you a thumbs up. That lets you know that I've seen you, and I'll come to you as soon as I can. If I forget, raise your hand again, okay? If you need my attention, don't yell at me or anything like that. Just raise your hand, because I like to keep the classroom as quiet as we can so everybody can focus on what they need to do and not be distracted. Number three, be respectful of your teacher and your fellow classmates and others. If we have a special guest come in, I want you to be respectful to them as well. But be respectful to your teachers. In my experience, I've found that if you're polite to your teachers, they usually are pretty polite back. They should be, unless they've not had their coffee. I don't know. But I love to be treated with respect, and I return that back to the students as well. Like I said earlier, be respectful of your classmates and others that may come in. And most importantly, let me go to the next slide here. This is really, really important, is I want you to know that I don't want you to give up. I know that we're kind of a little bit behind due to the coronavirus shutting everything down early last year. Some students may be behind, we may be struggling, but that's okay. We're going to be successful this year, or up until my time with you through Thanksgiving. But I want you to know there's not any shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. We're going to work as hard as we possibly can. And what I expect is I want every student to give it their absolute best. I would love for everybody to be an A+ student, but I know that's not a reality. If you work hard and the absolute best you can do is a B or a B+, then be proud of that B or a B+. If the best you can do is an A, then by all means, let's celebrate. But I want to challenge you in the next few months to make sure that you're working your hardest and that you're doing the best that you can possibly do. Now, if we're covering something and you're struggling with it and having a little bit of a difficult time, don't give up. Come to me and say, Mr. Bird, I need help with something. When I was in school, I was blessed with great teachers that would take time to sit down and go over an assignment with me a couple of times if they had to, and to work with me. And so I like to do that for my students as well. Now, lastly, and we're going to wrap up here, a couple of things I want you to know is how to communicate with me. That's always important. The best way, parents, for you to reach out to me, and students as well, is by email. You can email me. There's my address. It's jeff.bird@bluntk12.org. The school phone number is listed as well, or you can simply send in a note. Now, most of the assignments are going to be posted on Google Classroom. So students, you should be logged into that by now. If you haven't done so, you need to log into Google Classroom. We're also, parents, going to be using Seesaw to help communicate as well. And I'll be learning more about Seesaw in the next few days. So the main way to get a hold of me is by email right now. Call the school if you need to, but please be aware that I'm not going to return calls during the school hours unless it's an absolute emergency. Another way is to simply send in a note to me, and I'll respond back the best I can with that. Parents that try to respond to notes and questions as quickly as they can. I know with the virtual that we're doing this year and the different aspects of teaching, this is going to be a learning process for all of us, okay? So let's be patient. If you're working on an assignment, something happens, send me a note, send me an email, let me know, say, hey, we had a computer issue, and I'm pretty lenient. I'll work with you on that. If I cover something in class and perhaps you don't quite understand it, or if you're at home learning by computer and you just don't understand the directions, notify me. My hours of contact are going to be from 7:30 in the morning until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I'm through with school. After that, if you need to reach out to me, you've got my contact information. Send me an email. Let's try to set up a time where perhaps we could talk by FaceTime or video chat, ever how we got to do. I don't know about if parents can come in and do face-to-face meetings yet. We'll see. But I'm here to help you, and we're gonna have a successful couple of months coming up. I'm excited about this opportunity. I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Keep checking Google Classroom for updates, and daily, if I can do anything for you, just let me know. And Seesaw as well, that's another communication tool. Have a blessed day.